You guys launched a Bitcoin ETF, right? And I recall even the Bitcoin ETF had a lot of discussions in different jurisdictions, right? Some of them would allow for staking, some of them absolutely no, some of them
Yes.
are looking at all over the place. What got you guys onto that bandwagon? I mean, yes, everyone seems to be launching their own Bitcoin ETF. What made Morgan Stanley wanted to go down that path as well? And I understand Bitcoin is not the only major assets that you're doing as well.
I think it's one of the best places for an organization like ours to
Mm,
start because it requires us internally to really understand how to operate this business, what's required, the nuances of operating the
mm,
business. It's also clear to me, at least at this point, and again, I have not always been the biggest proponent of ETFs, putting new technology. And again, I'm coming from the emerging market world. So no one in emerging markets would buy a Bitcoin ETF. Most don't even have a
right,
wealth, account. They're buying
right.
spot crypto because they don't have that formalized financial services infrastructure in their countries. So I'm coming from a different lens. But the thing that I've really come to realize is how easy it is to plug in that ETF to the existing ecosystem within the US. And especially for those that are not diehard digital natives or not philosophically driven, but just more have the view of, hey, I think, this could be something and I'd like some exposure in my overall portfolio. So I'd like to take some price exposure to this theme. And the ETF really offers you, or the ETF complex offers you a reasonably easy way to do that. I mean, that's why even within the transition that we've seen from mutual funds to ETFs, ETF's a pretty efficient vehicle for clients to get exposure to certain products. And so it was natural for us to explore that. We started with I would say, the most OG, largest market cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. And it's been interesting to see. I think it's also like maybe tested a bit of a thesis that we had where Morgan Stanley coming in and really trying to understand this ecosystem. We launched April 9th of this year
Hmm.
and it's only mid-July or so. We're at $400 million. It's been one of
Right,
the fastest growing ETFs we've had. And especially for the Bitcoin community, you could argue like this has been a terrible year for Bitcoin. I mean,
right.
we were down and then we kind of just keep going sideways. And
Hmm.
then there's the quantum debate going on and a battle of where we're going from here and if we're ever going to get any sort of appreciation again. Sometimes in these Bitcoin cycles that we go through, it just
Hmm.
feels like things get very negative. We're very bipolar in the Bitcoin world. We're either like,
Yes.
to the moon and we're going to $1 million per Bitcoin, or it's like, oh, this is going to fall apart and it's just going nowhere. But even with that, the environment that we're living in, we raised $400 million
Mm,
in that ETF. And did we need another Bitcoin ETF? I don't know. We had like what
mm,
45 or so in the market. You could argue maybe we didn't. But we also came out and we priced it at 14 basis points. And
hmm.
so that's also one thing I feel pretty strongly about. And I've lived through this. It was a very typical thing we lived through in the emerging markets world too. In early stages of market access for investors, you were able to charge more because you might have been one of only a few that built
Mm,
out the operational ecosystem and support to be able to offer it to clients. But as the market matures and more people bring products to market, what should a single asset passive ETF cost? I don't think it should cost 150
hmm.
basis points. So what is the right cost? And that's what we tried to get to. We tried to get to thinking about how it fits into the broader business and what we would charge for a passive single asset exposure. Because ultimately, even for the broader industry, let's bring more advanced products to the marketplace. Going back to your point on tokenization, having a Bitcoin ETF is not our end game. This is just like an early tool that makes it easy for investors to have some exposure and to understand what that ecosystem entails. The
Hmm.
future should be way more advanced than a Bitcoin ETF. And that's where we should be able to attach, some higher margin
Yeah.
products.